I initially learned about stationSMARTS because our chief had chosen back in 2013 or 14 to switch over to stationSMARTS as our record management for our incidents. At the time, we really only used it for record management. I didn't realize how many other modules were in there that we could take advantage of. So when I started as acting lieutenant, it was the first time I really dove into stationSMARTS. I got a quick, brief training on how to do a report. And naturally, I was curious. I dove deeper and deeper and deeper and realized how customizable it is. When I became the acting chief, I realized that we could use a lot more modules in stationSMARTS to improve communication across the department. So the first thing we did was our inspection process. So we were occasionally late or missed residential smoke detector inspections. And a lot of it had to do with it being scheduled 5 days ago and then written on a piece of paper or a calendar that the officer of the day didn't check. So I realized that using stationSMARTS and training the officers to check stationSMARTS every day for the schedule and find out the things to do, and then going over what was on the activity tracker calendar as part of your roll call and going through the day was much more efficient than 3 different locations for inspections. So that turned into how can we keep better continuity in terms of truck checks and equipment checks. And then we started using the maintenance features and the repair requests. You know, prior to using the maintenance features on stationSMARTS, there would be emails or whiteboards that would be erased or lost, and then there was, you know, a truck would be out of service on the whiteboard for 3 months, which was 2.5 months after it was back in service, and nobody really paid attention to it. So by creating a real-time maintenance request that would email to the mechanic, and people could see on the sheet what was answered and what was open, what was fixed, really created positive feedback down the chain of command, where they saw that if they found a problem with a truck and they put a repair request in, that it really was being noticed. Whether it wasn't fixed right away, at least they saw that they did it and it was received. And that made their job worthwhile doing truck checks. Where in the past, it seemed like you'd write something down on a piece of paper and it would get lost, and what's the point of doing truck checks? So by using stationSMARTS, it really improved communication and continuity with inspections and truck checks. That was one of my biggest goals when I first started as the chief, was to make sure that the office side of the fire service and our firehouse was more professional and across different groups was more consistent. We don't have a secretary here. We don't have a deputy chief that works daily. I'm the only employee that works Monday through Friday. So group to group, we were really dropping the ball on communication. Maintenance was an issue in terms of communication and making sure that each group knew that something was in or out of service. So when we first looked into stationSMARTS, we realized that we could start tracking these things, sharing news amongst groups. When it came to management and maintenance, and I started reading into NFPA and that we needed to do SCBA annual service and pump test annual service and hose annual service, I realized that this needed to be documented or it wasn't really worth doing. So being able to manage and track everything we do, you know, it really gives us a ground to stand on when it comes to anything that may go wrong. It proves that we're doing our inspections, our annual service, and it gives the firefighters confidence because they're doing the inspections themselves and tracking these things. It gives them a purpose and a role, and it gives us, you know, the data to fall back on if anything ever went wrong. I feel like we've increased our optimization of stationSMARTS 200% since I started. We went from records management and inspections to asset management, even, you know, starting with the apparatus. I do believe we could use it more. We've just recently added hydrants, and we've just recently put our iPad in the truck so that we can have real-time feedback for the officers when they respond to a scene. That has now opened up a whole other world of possibilities in terms of what can we store in the iPad for pre-planning, and which makes me go even further into, can we teach the dispatchers how to use stationSMARTS so that, again, we're looking at the same data real time and it's consistent. I immediately noticed that we were sending out the same tool or piece of equipment once or twice without really knowing if it was fixed or not, or if it was actually the same piece of equipment. One example was with our chainsaws. We sent out 4 in a year and nobody knew if it was the same one or the same 2 that were going out for service. So I immediately realized that we needed to label every tool that we had so we can start, so that we could start keeping track of each individual little motor. I know it was an easy fix with using stationSMARTS to keep track of the large apparatus, but when you come down to the 40 or so mini engines we have in here, and making sure that the oil is good and the fuel is good and that the right ones are going out for service and that we're spending our money wisely on the right saws and which ones are clearly a problem, that we could really start utilizing our equipment better and our funding better and taking things out of service when they needed to be out of service. I can't speak highly enough about this tech support I've gotten from stationSMARTS. There's been several weekends where I've been playing with stationSMARTS on my own computer, and I notice an error or something being wrong, or I'll get a call from the station saying a guy can't sign in, and I'll email Greg or Dave or Heather, and I'll be shocked to find out that it's been fixed on a Sunday afternoon at 12:30. One example is last week I wanted our boxes put in so we could keep better track of our boxes once I realized that there was a box tracking module in stationSMARTS. And I actually had Heather and Greg fighting over who was going to input the data. It almost seemed like they enjoyed it. So like I said, the feedback I get and the speed at which they answer my emails is unmatched in the fire service. I would absolutely recommend stationSMARTS to other fire departments. The customization opportunities in stationSMARTS is amazing. Once I realized that I could create my own subcategories into fields, the sky was the limit. I created several actions, responses, in terms of around the station in management of documents and inspections. I could really personalize it to our department. So when the firefighters were looking through it, they knew exactly what lingo we were using. The pull-down options weren't nationally generated. They're unique to our department. So we're using the same words that our firefighters use. So they know exactly what we're looking for. With training, I can create my own training categories unique to our department. I can assign tasks to our firefighters, which is great.